Namaste Puja Swamiji, Narayana, and a very good afternoon to all of you. It has been such more than the sumptuous lunch we had enormous fill to absolutely beyond and more food for thought that has come in. It is just flooded in. It's almost making me forget the Chennai floods with the kind of flooding in of knowledge and thinking, and to see what amazing work each one is doing and to keep, this is what our society runs on. On one hand, you have corruption, you have injustice, you have everything that is wrong that is happening, which is eating into the vitals of society. And here you have all the pillars holding up society and taking it above and beyond. I salute to each one of these great speakers ahead of me for the kind of work they've done and the contributions they have made to society. What they give to society, what you give to another is what you give yourself. And that is where this will lead me on to our topic of the day, peace and reconciliation. And justice, peace is born of justice. Now let us look at the relationship between justice and peace. Justice, well, what is justice? Justice, as anybody understands it, fairness, fair play, equality. Am I getting what the other man gets? Am I getting my due? That is the sense of justice. Now, what is justice? There could be two people fighting over the same thing and saying, I deserve it, I'm the person who deserves it, and the other man wants to take it away. How do you resolve something like that? And if you listen to each one of them, each one could sound extremely convincing. So I think at some level, justice is so difficult. We have easily spoken about right, wrong, dharma, adharma, and as absolutes. But are they absolutes? They probably are not. We start off, life is not equal. Why are we assuming justice is an automatic result? What is just about life? Why is one person born with all limbs in place, into able-bodied, with a good brain, a family background, food to eat, and a guarantee of education and a good future which he can develop on. Whether he wants to or not, or probably have a life where you could, name it and he has it. And there is another one who's probably born equal in the talents, in everything else, but is born in a family which cannot educate him, which cannot even guarantee him 2 square meals a day. So, or you have somebody who is in an abusive home, who is seeing his father probably coming home drunk and beating up the mother. This child is coming to you tomorrow, you are coming face to face, the two come face to face. When you talk about injustice, the man who has had it all and has slight discomfort caused by the other man who hasn't had the privilege of knowing better. He could be doing something which could deeply, make the other man indignant and say, what did I do? Why is he behaving so badly? So here is where, before I get to that, I must also tell you, a sense of injustice is definitely directly connected to loss of peace. You feel things are being just, you will be peaceful. No, but we can't stop here. It goes a lot beyond all of that. Now these two are probably having a fight, they're not getting along, there are some issues, saying he has behaved wrongly. But before you say wrongly, have you seen what all has been wrong about his life? Before you have already branded him as wrong. And self-righteousness is the other side of justice. You say, I am right, I have done everything right, I am therefore entitled to what? The best. Why do you assume that it is all that you have done is right and therefore you are entitled to everything? I mean, whatever you think you're entitled to is your rightful, and you also get angry that I am right and he is wrong. Why I must win over, I must be the winner, not him. Or we see people who are not able to meet the same standards as a person who has been educated in the right way of living. And immediately you put him down saying, oh, he's a useless fellow. We feel very self-righteous. Here comes the next question. Is it right to do that? Have we all not at some point in time been wrong? Don't we have to think of that? There are times we've been wrong and we have not received our punishment that was due to us. But we are so unforgiving to somebody who has fallen in error, however small. And somehow, when we hold somebody responsible for a mistake, we think we have risen several notches up. Here is where your dharma, your goodness and all that, there is a missing link in all this is compassion. A willingness to look at the other person as a human being. In fact, we need to do that to all sentient beings. You need love. Love is the bridge that cuts across everything. You cannot talk about peace and you cannot have peace without love. Love is the link between peace and justice. Unless you have that, your justice, the pursuit of justice, as anybody who has ever had to fight a court case will know, is a very arduous one, and it is not fulfilling, I can tell you. In fact, I get clients, you have families fighting, you have husband and wife fighting, you have brothers, you have father, son, mother, I mean, name the most sacred of relationships, and they are fighting in court. What do I tell them? What are you going to get at the end of it? I mean, what are you fighting for? I think we need to first, if you look at it, the only bridging gap in this whole thing is you bring in the element, the emotion of love, and then look at what is right and wrong. Does it really matter? Have we all not been wrong? And I know I'm giving quite the opposite of what we've spoken this long about being that, the Messiah, holding out, standing for the right things. Of course you must stand for the right things. We all must be self-aware. Is everything that we are doing, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? There's no doubt. I'm not for a moment saying don't look at it. But can we rethink, if peace is our objective, can we rethink how we look at that fallen person who has been unable, for whatever reasons, which worked for you, he did not have what worked for you to be able to write. Can we not bring to his life that rightness? Moment you show that compassion to that man, you give him love. He himself, his conscience will say, okay, the world is not such a bad place. You could actually make the man who has done wrong to realize his mistake and probably correct himself. And in this manner, the individual, the role of the individual, as this concept paper also talks about, at the end of the day, I think we need to really work at each individual. We have to work on ourselves as individuals to look at how we can move with the more evolved each human being becomes. We are all only part of the whole. As we have the Advaita philosophy, you are no different from me. Nobody is different from anybody else. Moment we operate from that space, it is just like one bubble versus another in an ocean. You have to look at that, okay, that bubble is not wrong, it just didn't get the right amount of air in it to be large enough like you. That's about it. I mean, it's that kind of a thing, and unless each individual is self-aware, am I doing the right thing? Can I look at things differently? We need to look at things differently and not wait to find fault. Our media, excuse my dear journalist friends for saying this, but I can see in the media, whether it's your WhatsApp forwards or the media or anywhere, people take enormous amount of pleasure in pointing out what someone did wrong. Only that makes news. There is so much people are doing right. As we just saw, many of our speakers of today have done so much of good work. Now, that is a kind of a, that can have a, and Vishnu Mohan Foundation is doing good work. This is the kind of message, if it keeps spreading over a period of time, it can lead to real societal change. I'll tell you the simple example. As being a lawyer, I am faced with many people who are facing all kinds of disadvantages and injustice. They are looking at injustice on their face and they're coming without a solution. You have that athlete, you would have heard of Shanti Soundarajan. After the event, she was stripped of a silver medal in the Asian Games. Why? Because they suddenly said that the testosterone levels in her body were more than permitted. Now, rules of the game are not given after the game, but they did that and they got away with it. And then the discrimination she underwent. If you hear about what she does, all of us, what we do, whatever little we do for society is practically nothing compared to what this woman, who is a child of a brick kiln worker, she spends all her time, she has other young athletes she trains in her little hut. She feeds them, she brings them up, and she's busy doing that. I mean, that is the kind of selfless work she's doing. But for each Shanti Soundarajan, there are 10 people trying to bring her down for all the wrong reasons, for their own personal aggrandizement. So what does it show? I mean, it is that unselfish act which needs to be identified and encouraged. And we need, whoever is able to see what kind of, the disruptors definitely are the biggest problem in our society. They are doing these things cold-bloodedly. Two people fighting over what is right or wrong is the smallest of our problems. The bigger problem is the disruptors who, we have it in nations, we know how wars are initiated, what happens in the war room, what really, the poor soldiers fighting in the front because some leader decided that there must be a fight. He doesn't know, you have actually brainwashed him into going to the front and giving up his life when you're sitting in the cozy comfort of your high offices. So I think we really need to look at things very closely and how we can actually work. The teachers play a very, very important role, and we've had a whole lot of them today on our various speakers included. And there are others who are teachers by default, because by just having lived long enough, there are so many people learning from you. They're working with you or whatever. People are learning. So I think here, one is the biggest enemy is the selfishness. Of course, the spiritual, the ego is at the center of it all. So every time we are looking at, what is the motivation? Is it ego? And if we are going to, even as teachers, we need to understand our students could know a lot more than us. And ego has to be watched and called out every time it shows its ugly head to disrupt anything. Because I think we all need, if we just got self-aware, you would see it. It has an ugly head and it disrupts. So that is something is my observation. Now, as we see as a lawyer talking about adversarial litigation, today there has been some change. There's a lot of talk. There has been a big shift in the way litigation is approached. As everybody knows, well, what is the use of going to court? And it's that tariq pe tariq, they say, that is the biggest, nothing happens in court, you waste so much of time, you waste so much of money, and you come out bitter. And yes, believe me, there are no winners in court in the regular battles that are fought. Because by the time you're through with your case, you don't even know whether you won or lost. So what we really need to, and today we are moving towards mediation and alternate sources of dispute resolution, which goes a long way in doing, just showing what happens when two parties are fighting. There is again a missing link. They've missed out something they both could actually agree on. Once they identify what they agree on, they may even realize there is really no dispute. Sometimes two parties are saying the same thing but in different language. Effectively, for all practical purposes, you're saying, you would, if you hear them closely and if you watch what they're saying, they're probably saying exactly the same thing. They just are on the other side. And the lawyer here can be very mischievous. He may have vested interest in the dispute continuing. But if you just showed light, the dispute would just vanish. Nothing can withstand the light of understanding. You just say, okay, this is where. But of course there is no cure. If justice is what you want, you will get it. But if it is injustice, which you claim to be justice, is what you want, you cannot be allowed to get it. That is the distinction we need to draw. Otherwise, mediation can definitely get everyone justice. And it's the path that we are going towards. It's just a better understanding that's needed. Here we are in Shakti Foundation. I think, I know the evening is running too fast. We are luckily past 4:20. But anyway, so given... Take your time, no problem. And talking about, I was listening to this, Madhumati was talking about how children of a domestic help cannot think of being anything other than a domestic help. And to my mind, I mean, that's the easiest thing to do. It doesn't help being educated. I had one boy who worked for me he would insist that he loved cleaning bathrooms. So he would come to my house only to clean bathrooms. And he was a graduate. So I said, why don't you take up a job, try, right? And then with a lot of he said, no, I love the job. He will sing in the bathroom, and best cleaning of bathroom that anybody could do was this boy. Then I really coaxed him into, doing something with his education. His mother was working a domestic help. And he got a job in the corporation. He asked me for some letter or something about, I just helped, very small help, but to whatever it is, he was qualified, he's working in the corporation. And I met him recently. I told him, I said, why don't you just focus on that? And now he's a typist working in the corporation of Chennai. So these are all I think this is the kind of helping hand we need to give people, to empower them, and each one must respect what they are doing and respect the other. I think respect is to be shown to every creature, every sentient being. And as I was reading, talking about all this, talking about water, sleep, food, like that all these things need to be respected, nothing to be treated with contempt. If we followed that, there will not be many people going away with the feeling of injustice. Injustice is, at the end of the day, an emotion. It is not an absolute. Have you left someone feeling it is unfair? It happens in every home. There are two children, straight away, you have been more partial to one or the other. That's a normal thing. But the feeling of injustice also comes from saying, no, I want more. And why is it that I am not able to get more? This is what gets problematic. Now, talking about the Shakti Foundation, of which I am a trustee, and the next speaker, Mrs. Saumitra Srinivasan, who is the managing trustee, will talk about it. Here we have tried to approach again, we were talking about the marginalized women, but here we are not restricting it really to whom you call marginalized, because people are in many ways marginalized, not just economically. Yes, those economically marginalized need a lot more help economically, but at an emotional level, at a level because of the huge gap between what opportunities were available to women as against men. Women have been in a sense, pushed to a corner. Some women, I would say, and I mean, empowering. Who are we to empower anybody? Everybody has the power within. It's just about igniting that power and showing the mirror to them and saying, yeah, this is the power that you already have. And there is a lot of domestic abuse that happens. And this is the other area that we are addressing. We just want to help women, show them their rights. At the same time, we are not out here to create wedges in working systems, whether it's a marriage or wherever, if it is possible, to find a wholesome solution. If the problem of the woman in a marriage is that she is not able to bring, is not treated with respect, we could go to look at counseling the men also. That is the approach we are. It's still a very new trust. We have NGO that we have started. We need to work on it further and more ideas as we go along. That is so far as Shakti goes. And here is another one important point which has been recognized in various religions of the world, in all religions practically, is forgiveness. Forgiveness, the role of forgiveness, I have personally experienced in the course of my work. What a magic change. What you think, how you feel about things can actually change the situation. It's something I have seen for myself. There have been clients of mine who have been, in extremely vicious fights. It could be a husband and wife, it could be within the family. The legal process takes time, and they usually come and pour their sorrows to you and their sense of indignation to you. And it so happened just after one of my experiments, after my morning meditation, I got a call with somebody who was so distressed. I was in a completely different zone mentally from the person who was talking to me. I said, we are working on it. It's not your problem. We will do the job. But in the meanwhile, just go ahead and forgive your person who did wrong to you, not for that person, for your own peace. And they did the job, but they did it, and it is difficult to believe, but they actually became the person she was fighting with. They actually were able to have a smooth talk. They in fact came together like that. There are many situations where people not just come together, we are able to resolve a problem when people are at peace. Usually it is that damaged ego or that sense of injustice which has disturbed and muddied the waters. Moment you are able to bring in, again, forgiveness is an act of love. If once you do that, it releases both parties, not just the person who is forgiven, but the person who forgives. Both are deeply benefited. Resolution of a problem becomes easier when you do that. It is something I can today have done it so many times. I've had found it to work. I don't see why we should all not give it a try. It costs you nothing. So I think with this, I don't think I should take much more than this. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. I thank the foundation for this opportunity.
When you said this, I just want to point out that we have an annual conference called Forgiveness is Liberation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people from all around the world. We did in COVID first.
Why didn't?
All around the world, people joined in.
It's the most powerful tool.
Yes,
we have. It's with us.
Both, like you said, both parties win.
Yes, they do.